Greetings from CIMA and PwC's Academy here in Warsaw, Poland. My name is Steve Willis, and today we're going to debrief the pre-seen scenario for the May 2016 operational case study exam. If you're watching this, you have your first case study exam ahead of you, and you're probably overwhelmed with the 22 pages of highly detailed material you've just downloaded and started to read. Well, my objective tonight is to get you started debriefing this story of the Sanchez Navarra company, to link the scenario to your CIMA syllabus, and to help you focus on what to study. Well, in this exam, you'll be faced with a complex business simulation and asked to give advice and information on a variety of matters under intense exam pressure. It's important you fully analyze this case study now. You really don't want to be fishing around in the application during the exam. That's when you should be focusing only on dealing with the business challenges that you will be facing. In this exam, well, it's really a business simulation. You're a new finance officer preparing accounts and management reports. Various members of the management team of Sanchez Navarra will ask for your help with short-term decision-making, providing advice, and giving information. Well, you'll need to quickly organize your thoughts from the perspectives of E1, P1, and F1, structure, and then deliver a persuasive answer that is also linked to the scenario. This is a difficult challenge, everybody. Okay, let's get started. Make sure you have the pre-seen materials with you printed out, some highlighter markers, pens, and some paper. In this video, we'll do a position analysis on the Sanchez Navarra company using the SWOT model that you know from E1, the marketing area of the syllabus. We'll go through the pre-seen section by section, capturing our ideas under the headings of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, make sure you pause whenever you need to take notes on what I'm saying, or if you have your own ideas, make sure that you write those down as well. Okay, everyone, please turn to page 2 and find the introduction section. While you read through this section, I'd like you to answer these questions. What industry is SN in? How many products do they sell? What are their sales channels? Who are the new shareholders? And what's their new goal? What strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats can you find? Pause the video while you read and you collect your ideas. In paragraph 1, we learn that the Sanchez Navarra company is a manufacturing organization selling bath and body products. They're located in a major developed country. Could you use the pestle analysis tool as the start of a marketing strategy for the company? This comes from the E1 syllabus. Make sure you're familiar with this. In the next paragraph, we learn they have one facility located in the capital city of the country. A strength of this could be that they have access to HR talent and transportation routes to the rest of the country. A weakness, however, might be that it's an expensive place to keep your operations. Later we learn about their large warehouse. Again, this might be expensive. Okay, could be a weakness, could be a strength. Can they enable JIT and pull production, cutting inventory costs, improving quality, maybe moving into cheaper facilities, less expensive and smaller? Now, we get to the number of products that the company has. At this point in the story, we discover that they have 3 product lines with 10 variations in each product line. This means they've got 30 products in total. In the next paragraph, we learn about their approach to pricing and some other marketing information. We discover that they compete by delivering high-quality goods and using a premium pricing strategy. This high-quality approach and the fact that they can command high prices is another strength of the company. Could you explain other pricing strategies to the directors of this company if they asked you? We then discover they have 3 sales channels. Okay, they've got these concession stands, they've got e-business, and 5 bricks and mortar owned stores. Okay. Can you talk about marketing strategies for each approach? Okay, this is place in the marketing mix. Could you relate the rest of the marketing mix to the Sanchez Navarra products and explain this to directors? Sanchez Navarra is not exporting now, but what's going to happen when they become part of a large multinational group? Next, we learn about the founders, the entrepreneurs Frida and Nisha. Okay. They bring their skills and passion to this company, possibly another strength of the company. Okay, their entrepreneurial skills and spirit grew this business to a $31 million a year business. Okay, we learn about a big change at SN in the next paragraph. They've now become part of a large multinational group who now has 60% control. This will be new for Frida and Nisha, who have given up their controlling stake. Okay? This means new stakeholders for them. Could you explain and use the Mendello model and suggest any approaches to resolving a new stakeholder conflict that might appear? Okay, this new parent company might be listed. It's a large multinational company. This means new corporate governance requirements and new reporting requirements. Okay? Could you explain these ideas and these issues to the directors of the company? As the SN company is now part of a group, can you explain the principles of consolidation and control from the F1 perspective to the directors of the company? Okay, in the last paragraph, we learn about SN's goal of international expansion. This represents a big opportunity, okay, for the company. However, there's also a new risk of conflict and misunderstanding with the head office. Head office might have different ideas from Nisha and Frida. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the unseen material. Let's jump ahead now to page 21 and look at some information about the industry. I'd like you to answer these questions while you read. Is the industry growing? Does Sanchez Navarra compete in a broad scope, or do they compete in a niche? Do you see any opportunities and threats here? Okay, pause the video while you read and take your notes, and then compare your ideas with mine when you're done. In this section of the pre-seen material, we learn that the industry is a mature one. Okay, this means high competitive rivalry. Okay, we see a slow-growing industry. Okay, only 2% per year, probably only keeping up with inflation. This is bad news because in order to gain new customers, you'll have to win them over from the competition. However, later in the story, we see that SN operates in a small niche focused on natural and organic products. This looks like a strength for the company that they're entrenched in this fast-growing niche, more than double the growth of the traditional bath and beauty sector. Okay, maybe the new parent company sees this as an opportunity to incorporate SN's natural ingredients into their existing global product range. This is another opportunity for SN. Okay, let's go to the news article on page 3 now. Some questions I'd like you to think about while you read this. Okay, who is the company TRU? How many subs do they have? Does this new business combination fit with the founder's vision? Okay, in this section, we learn that this new parent company, TRU, has 80 subsidiaries around the world. This is a big company. Sanchez Navarra is now a small fish in a very big pond. This is going to be big change for the two founders of the company who are used to running things their own way. Now they will have to report to new bosses, new bureaucracy, new rules, new challenges for them. This is TRU's first entry into Keyland, and there are rumors that TRU might be buying up some more companies. This means they might have some objectives that are unknown to Nisha and Frida, representing risks and possibly threats. We learn that TRU is a large multinational company again. This is a clue that we might see corporate governance issues in the unseen materials. We also see Nisha and Frida's aspirations repeated, that they're looking for international growth. This is reinforcing the opportunity that we found in the previous section. Okay? But they also have the desire and the assumption that they will be left alone to run the business as they wish. Possibly this is wishful thinking. Again, make sure that you study and are fluent with all of the corporate governance topics in the E1 syllabus. Okay? That's directly related to this issue. Let's go now to page 4 and look at the extract from SN's website. Questions to consider while you read this section are: 1. What skills do the founders possess? Okay. What is their mission? What else do we learn about the Sanchez Navarra product range? In the first paragraph, we learn about the complementary skills of Frida and Nisha. We learn about their long, successful history together and their entrepreneurial spirit. I would consider these strengths for the Sanchez Navarra company. We find out about their threefold mission, which is based on delighting customers with high-quality products, with the natural ingredients and their sustainable approach. This looks like a company that might be a shaper of society according to Carol's model on CSR. That's from the E1 syllabus. Make sure you carefully review ethics and CSR, as this is a core part of the Sanchez Navarra company. Let's now move to the history of the company, and I have some questions for you to consider while you read. Let's get back to the sales channels. Exactly how many concession stands do they have, and how many stores do they have? Think about how does Sanchez Navarra compete, and how do they gain competitive advantage? This is a busy section of the pre-scene, and there's a lot of information here to digest. Well, we learn about their approach to using natural materials. This has been a feature of the company since its beginnings and a source of their competitive advantage. Next, we learn how they do 2 deals with department stores to build a big network of concession stands that ends up being more than 15 in total. Next, we learn how they evolve into bricks and mortar with branded retail outlets. They end up with 5 stores throughout the major cities of Keyland. Then we learn how they get into e-business with the help of their venture capital partner. We learn how they rolled out their product families and fragrances to end up with 30 products in total. And we learn about another source of their competitive advantage. This comes from the prestigious Made in Keyland label that they are allowed to display on their products. Now, this section of the pre-scene mentions new market and product opportunities for a 3rd time. Get ready for this theme in the unseen materials. Remember, make sure that you are an expert on all things e-business, on all things marketing. In the next section of this pre-scene scenario, we meet the board of directors. Please turn to page 7 and 8, and then review the organization chart that you can find on page 13. I'd like you to think about these questions while you read this section. What are the strengths and weaknesses of each director? And look at the organization chart. Do you see any missing pillars in the chart? Where are you in this organization, and who do you report to? We learn more information about Nisha. They reinforce that she's a chemist, a good background for someone who's leading a cosmetics company, definitely a strength. We learn that she's passionate and she likes to travel. Since she'll be away often, get ready to receive a lot of email from her in the unseen, asking questions about how the business is doing and asking for advice on the new developments. We learn more about Frida. We learn she has a background in HR, but not in finance or accounting. This is odd, as Frida is the finance director. This might be a weakness. She'll probably ask you to explain lots of things about accounting, about IFRS, and to help her make some short-term decisions with reports that other people have prepared. Next, we meet Thomas. He's the production manager with an interest and a focus on quality. Well, this is a strength for someone who's managing a factory. Make sure you can explain all of the modern quality tools to Thomas. He might not be aware of the latest trends. Also advise on they might specifically improve quality at SNN. As it's a manufacturing company, be ready for possible production problems, quality problems, Six Sigma, Lean, JIT. These ideas might help. Okay. Next, we meet Richard. He's an experienced marketer. This is a strength for someone involved in marketing, but is he versed in e-commerce? We don't know this. He might have some questions about this. Okay, be ready to help him with e-commerce. Now, do you see anything missing at the board level? I do. I think that IT is missing and HR leadership for a company with 300 people. Okay, these will be even more important as the company expands and their information needs become more complex. And with all of these suggestions of expansion, we might see SN taking on new employees. So you need to be able to advise on HR matters like recruitment and selection and training. Let's look at the company structure in more detail. Well, we see a traditional structure based on function, relatively flat. We see roughly 3 broad levels in the organization. We see senior management, the directors, some middle managers, and then we see some operational officers. Okay, sales seems to be the most complex department, and that makes sense. They have the most people. You will find out shortly. It looks like there's 1 middle manager for each sales channel. Okay, and who do you report to? You report to the finance manager, Roger Dawson, who is a chartered accountant, but expect him to be away on holiday or out sick, or maybe he's quit the company. You are going to have to fill in for him and answer a lot of questions for other people in the company. Supply chain is also missing in this organization chart. Supply chain and logistics. This area of the business will become much more complex if the expansion plans take off and SN's ingredients are used in other international TRU products, or TRU integrates the SN products into their global product portfolio. Make sure you can develop ideas and give recommendations in this area of the business. Okay? These missing business functions of supply chain, IT, and HR in the current organization structure might represent another weakness for SN. Let's move to page 10 now. Information about the production process. Okay? Some questions for you to consider while you read this section. How many stages of production are there? How many production lines are there? Is there any mention of bottlenecks? Can you update the number of products that SN actually produces? In the previous pre-scenes, the production process has always been the most complicated part of the story, and this is no different in the Sanchez Navarra story. First of all, if any of these terms that you just read are unfamiliar or strange, please take a minute now and Google those. Make sure you understand what they mean. They always sprinkle a little of this industry-specific production jargon into the story. Okay, they're going to repeat those terms in the unseen material. So make sure you know them now. Make sure you're comfortable with what they mean. Make sure you're able to use them as well. We learn about the mixing stage, the emulsion stage, okay? The step of creating the unfragranced product, then how they add the ingredients at different stages in different quantities depending on the fragrance. They tell us about the 2 production lines. There's 1 production line for the body wash line product, and there's a separate production line that handles lotion, hand, and foot cream. This is complicated stuff, everybody. I recommend you get out a pen and a piece of graph paper and you just sketch this out again as you read it, just to make sure you fully understand the terminology and what's happening. There are no times given, but could you identify a bottleneck if you saw the specific times of each process? Could you interpret the results of a throughput accounting report? What would the different throughput accounting ratios mean for each product? We see the production and the product line becoming more complex here. We see that the 30 products are now divided between 250 milliliter bottles and 2 categories of gift set, the small and the large. Be ready for management reports of any type on these products and product combinations that you will need to interpret for any of the directors. At this point, everyone, I'm going to hand over the rest of the debrief to you and assign you some homework. Before I do that, I'd like to tell you, if this has been interesting for you, we're running a 4-day training course in Warsaw in April. I'll give you those dates in a minute. That course will be highly interactive. We'll go through the entire pre-scene again in detail, paragraph by paragraph, from all the perspectives of P1, E1, and F1. We'll practice exam technique, and we'll do 3 entire unseen simulations. I promise you it will be useful and a lot of fun. Okay, if I'm not going to see you on the course, make sure you complete this debrief with the following tasks. Have your pen ready, write all of this down, and pause in between the tasks when you need to. Okay, make sure you go through the complicated sales channel section of the story. A good thing to do would be to use the value chain model to understand all of the primary and secondary activities for each of the 3 sales channels, because each one is different. Okay, which activities are critical in helping to give competitive advantage to the SN company? Next, look at the sales. What percentage of sales comes from each channel? Make sure you are familiar with this. Next, you'll need to get out your calculators or your Excel and get into some financial analysis. Okay, you have a full set of financial statements in the pre-scene. Make sure you perform ratio analysis. Look at the performance of the company from all angles: profitability, liquidity, risk, working capital management, etc. It's important that you do this because for sure in the unseen material you're going to see some new unforeseen situation and things are going to change. So you'll need to quickly assess if any financial changes are positive or negative for the company. Understanding the current situation is critical to making that assessment. Now, we have a lot of management accounting information to go through. Okay? We have specific cost information on 2 products. Could you calculate contribution per unit for each of these? Okay? Which are the most expensive ingredients in the mix? Okay? Which are the cheapest? Now, make sure you understand how SN allocates overheads. Okay? Have an opinion before you go into that examination room. Would activity-based costing be helpful for this company to allocate overheads more effectively? Okay, that's for you to investigate and decide. Okay, you get information on price and cost as well for each product. Make sure you're familiar with this. Which are the most and least profitable products, most expensive to produce? Now, if you were presented with any charts, could you interpret them? Could you interpret a break-even chart, a profit volume chart, a multi-product profit volume chart? Could you interpret any reports on make or buy, short-term decision making? How about a linear programming report, okay, if we have scarce resources? We have information on variance reports that SN uses. Do you understand what each of the variances that they use tells us? Who is responsible for each variance? Could you draft what the report should look like? Okay, you might be presented with a poorly done version of the report. For example, the assistant might have excluded the flexed column and is comparing the original budget to the actual results, for example. Are there any variances missing that you might include in the report to give a fuller picture for managing performance of this company? I'd like you to do some real-world research to bring this story to life and to help you generate ideas in that examination room. Please check out the company Body Shop. You can find lots of information on the internet about it. This is a company, a cosmetics company founded in the 1970s in the States, similar profile to the early Sanchez Navarra company. And like Sanchez Navarra, they were bought out by a big global cosmetics company, L'Oreal, in real life. Okay, make sure you find that deal in the news. Okay, there was an ethical problem. Okay, this problem emerged at the time of that deal. I'd like you to find news about that and make sure that this kind of a problem could easily come up in the unseen material. Make sure you're ready to tackle an ethical problem. How would you resolve it? Stakeholder analysis, etc. While you're at that L'Oreal website, looking under the corporate governance section, see if you can find their CSR reporting. Okay, what kind of things are they telling the world about? Make sure you have those ideas at the tip of your tongue. If they ask you to talk about improving CSR, how can we demonstrate to the world that we have good CSR in our company? Make sure you look at the story from an IFRS point of view. It's a manufacturing company, so for sure be able to explain the principles of IAS 2 inventory. How about revaluation, PP&E, IAS 16? Make sure you can explain the principles of consolidation, as I mentioned before. Okay? Review all of your IASs and IFRSs and try to link them to the scenario. Okay, finally, make sure you go through your 3 syllabi, E1, F1, and P1. Do your best to link the topics as we've been doing to the ideas that we've discussed and the ideas that you generate on your own. Okay, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you are signed up for CIMA Connect. There are lots of useful resources and goodies that are developed by the official CIMA Learning and Development team that will definitely help you pass your exams. Okay? Finally, our training course on the OCS will take place between the 15th and 18th of April, okay, in Warsaw, Poland. Okay? Hope to see you there. Okay, thanks for your time, and best of luck, everyone, in May.